Hi-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Oilers. Oilers versus Blue Jackets, November 13th, 2025, game 19. We are one game away from the 25% mark, quarter of the season. So we got to start seeing some improvement. Pre-show. Tomasek is back in. Howard is in the press box. Okay, I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked. I thought for sure it was going to be Phillip in the press box after Nobby benched him in the third period for no reason. At least no reason any reasonable person could explain. Hell, even unreasonable people like Bob Stauffer couldn't explain why he was benched in the third period. So, yeah, I really thought it was going to be Phillip in the press box. And I was surprised that it was Howard. And what Stauffer and all them were saying is they think this is an indication that once Hyman's back, they're going to send Howard down to the farm, which I've been asking for a while. He's not looked like an NHL player consistently, and he's got a bunch of bad habits. So him going to the farm would probably be the best thing for him, and if it's for 20 games, 40 games, a season, it doesn't matter. Go to the farm and get better. He's coming out of university. University is not the NHL. Hell, the university is not even the AHL. University is offense. That's all it is. They really don't play. Like, when's the last time you heard about a good defensive player coming out of a university or college system? I can't think of a single one. Say Aaron Ekblad. Well, he played in Barrie juniors, and that's where they come from. They come from the junior ranks. So whether it be the OHL, the WHL, no, not the Quebec Major Junior. Forget them. But, you get my point. Out of college and university, these guys, they play one style of hockey, and it's offense. So Howard is very limited in his understanding of that type of play. So it makes perfect sense to send him to the farm, and he can work on it. And hopefully he gets better. Because he's definitely got a shooter mentality, and he's definitely got an offensive flair, but his whole game is not NHL ready. Yeah, so I'm shocked that it was Howard, but that was the right call. So, I'm not Nobby's biggest fan anymore, but I'll give him credit on making that call. Regula is back in. Emberson is in the press box. Still no clue what was going on with Regula. Was it maintenance? Was he just in the press box? Nobody's saying boo about it. So I really don't know. So anyway, he was back in, and Emberson was in the press box. And yeah, just to clarify that, I think once Hyman's back in, you're going to probably see Stetcher and Howard sent down. We haven't heard anything about Stetcher, but if he was going to be traded, he would have been traded by now. So I don't think there's a lot of suitors for him. So it may be a case of they just need to waive him, send him down. And if he clears, he's on the Bakersfield until we need him. And if he doesn't clear, well, he doesn't clear. He's our 8th or 9th defenseman. So it's nothing against Stetcher at all, honestly. It's just as an 8th or 9th defenseman, you send him down. It's not a big loss. And Pickard is in net. Hyman will be in the lineup this Saturday against Carolina. So we'll be back, and then we'll start seeing pieces start moving. So I came to a conclusion today. Stauffer is once again spewing nonsense that Savoy is an all-star on this team. And it finally occurred to me. The more Stauffer lies and bullshits, the less tolerance I have for Savoy as a player. And guys, I know that's not fair to Matt Savoy. Trust me, I know it. But as I said in the last video, and I've said in other videos, I detest homerism. Just call it down the middle. Be honest. If he makes a good play, you give him credit for a good play, and he's made a couple good plays in the last game. And when he screws up, call him out for screwing up. Something Stauffer outright refuses to do, and he did this same thing with Bouchard, and I'm wondering, is this why I'm so unimpressed with Bouchard all these years? Is Stauffer just poisoned the well? It's like I'm watching the game and I'm watching defensive turnover after defensive turnover after defensive turnover, and Stauffer's just going, well, in the playoffs, Well, we're not in the frickin' playoffs. And I'm seeing the exact same pattern with Savoy. It's like I've said time and time again, he's a skilled player. He's got great potential. I'm not his biggest fan because he is undersized. And as I've said, when you're dealing with an undersized player, you either have to have the intensity and drive of Theo Fleury or the scoring touch of Patrick Kane. And Matt Savoy doesn't have either of those things. And that's just the honest truth. That's not badgering him or anything. That's just the honest truth. So I'm never going to be Matt Savoy's biggest fan because when it comes to undersized players, you got to fit one of those two molds for me. Otherwise, I think there's probably better players out there for the NHL game. Yeah, you can come in the comments and disagree with me if you want. Wouldn't be the first time. But yeah, the more Stauffer pushes his agenda, the more I just roll my eyes and pull my hair out and see, I don't have any hair. So that's actually quite painful, people. And it's totally not fair to Savoy. I admit this, but it's the reality of the situation. As I said yesterday, I just want our media and commentators to call the games without outrageous bias and agenda. It's why I like Louis and Jack so much. It's why I like Rob Brown so much. They'll give the props, and you should give props when people deserve props, but they also won't hesitate to call somebody out when they're not producing. And there's the difference between them and Bob Stauffer. Bob Stauffer will not call out his chosen ones, ever. Like I said, I use this example. This was from last year. There was a play where Nurse was on the boards and he was battling with, I don't know what team it was, but he was battling with that guy and they were battling. And then there was Bouchard and another opponent player in the slot, but Bouchard wasn't covering his man. So the puck did come out to this guy. This guy got it and he just wired it in the net. And I kid you not, Stauffer blamed Nurse. And he went on about it for 5 minutes blaming Nurse. Didn't mention Bouchard's name. And that's what I mean. He will not criticize his chosen ones. And make no mistake about it, Matt Savoy is one of Stauffer's chosen ones. To me, Matt Savoy is a prospect. Simple as that. He's not a top 6 player yet, though he's filling in the role right now because we got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins out. We got Hyman out. So, we don't have a glut of players to put in there. So he's filling that role right now. He doesn't drive the play yet as of this time. Now, I see indications that he might in the future. Understand me. I am not saying he's a wash. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he's not a all-star or a top 6 player when our roster is healthy at this point in time. That's all I'm saying. You put him on the third line, you make him earn his way up. I don't understand why that's so outrageous to some people. And this seems to be where Stauffer and I completely disagree. Stauffer wants his chosen ones to just be handed top 6 spots at the cost of much better players, like RNH. And he did it again today. He said when Hyman and RNH are back, and Rosovich, he included Rosovich in it. So now he has Matt Savoy ahead of RNH, Hyman, and Rosovich. Does that make sense to you? Seriously, does that make sense to anyone? It doesn't make sense to me. And I've said before, this is part of the culture problems with the Edmonton Oilers, is we do not make players earn their spots. And it's not just Savoy here. It's not just Savoy here. This has been a culture problem for a number of years, probably over a decade, where we just grab somebody and we insert them. We don't make them earn that spot. And then they don't work out. That's basically what happened with Yamamoto. That's basically what happened with Dreisaitl's buddy. I forget his name now, the German player that we brought in and gifted a top 6 spot only to learn he can't even play in the top 12. And same with McDavid's friend that we brought in. I'm really gapping on names now, but he was gifted a winger slot aside McDavid, and that didn't work out. Like, we keep grabbing these players and just gifting them spots when they don't deserve them yet. They haven't earned them yet. Do I think Matt Savoy will earn it? Actually, I do. I think in a year's time, he'll probably earn his way into the top 6, partially due to cap constraints because he's not a super high cost player. So we will move out high cost players and he will take that role. But also because he does have skill and he's super fast. He's just got to learn the NHL game. And I honestly think pushing him ahead of his time into a top 6 spot hurts him. It doesn't help him. It hurts him. Because right now, the biggest problem this team has from top to bottom is our defensive play. Well, you're not going to get better at defensive play playing with Leon and Connor because they drive offense. You put them on the third line, which I like to always say should be a balanced line of defense and offense. You put them there and you learn for that year and you mature and you get better. And hopefully you bring some offense on that line because we could desperately use some offense on the third line. And then injuries happen like right now, you get moved up. Or next year, you're ready to step up into that role. But now you're not just an offensive player. You understand your defensive responsibilities. Now, Stauffer likes to yammer, well, he was on the AHL team and he played defense or defensive play on the AHL. That's the frickin' AHL. How many players have we seen be stars on the AHL and not be able to do it in the NHL? You don't just step up and do it. And again, this is Stauffer trying to get his chosen ones gifted spots. He did it with Bouchard when Bouchard wasn't ready, and then soon as Duncan Keith retired, Bouchard went, minus 29 for that next season before we got Ekholm because he wasn't ready and he'd been gifted everything, But if you listen to Stauffer prior to that, for 2 years, he wanted Bouchard as our number 1 defenseman. He wasn't ready. And I don't think Matt Savoy's ready. Matt Savoy has a lot in his game that needs to improve. It's not just about offense. I get so tired of repeating that sentence. We need to get back to making players earn their spots. I used to be a big fan of the Detroit Red Wings and in their heyday, because this is one of the things they did, is they didn't gift anyone anything. They sent them to the AHL and you played there for 2 to 3 years. And then when a spot opened, you came up and you were put on the third and fourth lines and you earned your way up. And they were a powerhouse for a long time. A long, long time. It wasn't until Yzerman took over that they actually started to falter, ironically, because he moved it to gifting player spots. No, and I understand part of that is the culture of the modern day NHL. I think we need to move, as a franchise, we need to move away from that and we need to make players earn their spots on the Oilers. Okay, enough of that. All right, so Stauffer just threw Pickard under the bus yet again before the game even starts, suggesting every goal against Pickard is Pickard's fault. What horse crap. Listen, Pickard is a $1 million a year goalie, backup goalie. That alone tells you he's not going to be a 900 save percentage average. And if he is, you count your glorious blessings because he's massively overplaying what's expected of him. And that's just the reality of the situation. If Calvin was a big save goalie, he would be paid a lot more than $1 million a season. Like that's what, $150K above the bare minimum you can pay a player in the NHL nowadays. So he's bargain basement price. When Pickard is in net, it's on the team in front of him to help him out. When they do not do that, Pickard rarely has a 900 or better save percentage. He doesn't. That's just the truth of the matter. Pickard will be as good or bad as the players in front of him. It's really that simple. Hockey is a team sport, not an individual sport. I hope Pickard gets a shutout tonight. He didn't, but that only happens if his team supports him. They didn't. All right, so let's get on to period 1. Oilers penalty. Brozovic tripping. I don't have a time for this because for the first 5 minutes of the first period, once again, that clock and score clock for Sportsnet wasn't working. I think Sportsnet has a problem with one of their technicians because this is the third or fourth game this has happened now. I really don't believe they're having that many technical items. I think they have a personnel issue now. Anyway, so I don't know the time of it, but it was tripping. Nice save by Pickard on a breakaway, and the Oilers did kill the penalty. Clock is finally working 5 minutes into the first. Pickard just got really lucky, and he got lucky a lot this game. Shot went right through him, but hits a post bounces over, hits the other post, and bounces out. So he got really lucky. I'll shoot ahead to the end. Columbus hit the post or the crossbar 6 times this game. Now, that wasn't all on Pickard, but it was still like he was really lucky, as were the Oilers. Then it's another post. That's 2 posts and a crossbar in the first period. Blue Jackets goal at 4:24. Jackets defenseman shoots a floater at net. Olivier redirects. So it was about like chest high, and he just boom, one of those deflections straight down. Bouchard stands behind him, not tying him up, not interfering with him, but completely screening Pickard. Like Pickard didn't even react on the goal. He didn't see this puck at all because of Bouchard. This was Bouchard's man. Get there, tie him up, push him out of the slot. But it was Olivier, so Evan Bouchard's not pushing Olivier out of the slot, but you can still tie him up so he's not redirecting pucks. But he didn't. So 1-0 Jackets. Blue Jackets penalty at 2:59, tripping. Oilers power play. Oilers turnover leads to a 2-on-1, but Jackets ring it off the post. Fourth post of this period. End of the first. Shots on goal were 8-4 for the Jackets. We only got 4 shots on net in the first period. 1-0 Jackets. Sloppy period where Oilers just went through the motions. Only 4 shots on net despite having a power play. The power play had 0 momentum whatsoever. Jackets had the 2 best scoring chances of our power play. So the dream of a 60-minute effort is already lost. Hopefully they can salvage a 40-minute effort. Period 2. Bouchard turnover in front of our net, but huge save by Pickard. But then a Jackets goal, 1916. McDavid fumbles the puck on the boards. Jackets go to the net. Quick pass through Bouchard, who again isn't covering his man. Easy tap in, 2-0 Jackets. So that's 2 goals on Bouchard already. What I wrote is pretty clear which Evan Bouchard showing up this game. Now -2, and honestly could be -4 or -5 if not for Pickard. And keep that in mind, because Pickard didn't have a good game yet in that first period and the start of the second. The only reason it wasn't -4 or wasn't 4 or 5 goals against was Calvin Pickard and the posts. 5 minutes into the second, 0 shots on net by the Oilers. So we've gone 25 minutes with 4 shots on net. We get our first shot at 5:30 into the period by Fredericks. Oilers goal at 11:51. Savoy from Bouchard and McDavid. Point shot from Bouchard. Savoy redirects it for a goal. Nice goal. And only happens because Savoy went to the slot. Something he has not been willing to do consistently. Hopefully this is a change in how he positions himself. And you've heard me talk about this for 19 games. So hopefully this is a change. Like I keep saying this, but hopefully this is a change. And okay, so Hyman comes back next game and we don't know where he's going to be playing. If Hyman is with McDavid and Savoy's on their wing, as it sounds like that's what it's going to be, it sounds like Majapani will be the guy off that line. And I got no problem with that because Majapani has had 0 chemistry with McDavid. Okay, then if that's the case, Savoy doesn't need to go to the slot because Hyman's going to go to the slot. So he can take the RNH along the board position. But as long as Hyman's out, he needs to go to the slot to score. And he did that here and he got rewarded. He did that a few games back and he got rewarded. But the rest of the time, he's always on the perimeter. And that's what I've been complaining about. This is what I'm saying, is he's got to go to those dirty areas if he wants to score in this league when he's in that position. Once Hyman's in, okay. And this is why I've been saying I want Phillips up on that line, because Phillips would go into the boards. He would dig out those pucks. He would go to the front of the net. Like he would do all of this because Howard and Savoy for 19 games, they haven't been willing to do that consistently. So anyway, this was a really nice goal from him. And if he continues to do stuff like this, he will get rewarded much more, and that will be great for the team and horrible for me because I'll have to listen to Stauffer basically ejaculating on the radio. Oilers goal. So that's 2-1 Jackets. Oilers goal at 11:51. Leon from Bush. Typical Leon. One-timer from the side. You know, he's right on the side where he likes to be. Bouchard passed it over and he one-timed it in. Boom. Passing in 2-2. You know, it's a gorgeous goal, but you've seen it so many times, it starts to become commonplace. For Leon, anyone else, you're going, woo, wow, wow. For Leon, it's like, okay, yeah, I've seen this before. Jackets goal at 9:41. Jackets shoot wide from the point. Puck bounces out right in front and is deposited in the net. 3-2. Same story. You had a Jackets player in the slot uncovered. I don't even know who was the defenseman this time. You know, it was a fortuitous bounce, sure, but you know, how many times do you have to say it? Cover your men, move them out of the slot. So it's 3-2 for the Jackets. Oilers goal at 8:30. McDavid from Leon and Savoy. Savoy dumps. Jackets misplay the puck. Leon grabs it and puts it in front, and McDavid scores 3-3. Play is challenged for offside. Challenge is successful. No goal. 3-2 Jackets. And it was clearly offside. This wasn't a close one. Savoy was offside. Jackets goal at 1:40. Jackets walk out from behind the net, untouched, goes around Pickard and tucks it in. 4-2 Jackets. You know, same as the last goal. Guy, not the same, but he just came out from the net, went around Pickard and put it in, and none of our defense touched him. They just watched him. Pickard makes a couple nice saves. Jackets swarming him, and zero physical pushback by the Oilers. End of the second, shots on goal, 20-15 for the Jackets. Well, we got 11 shots that period, but we got outplayed again, and 4-2 for the Jackets. So is a 30-minute effort enough, or a 20-minute effort enough for us to come back? Listen, we are lucky it's not 6 or 7-2 for the Jackets. I said in the pregame, Pickard is only as good as the support in front of him, and he's getting zero support when Nurse not on the ice. Darnell was the only defenseman trying to clear people out of the slot tonight. The only one. Hopefully we can come back in the third, but if we don't start cleaning up mistakes in our own zone, offense will not matter. Oh, and then Bob Stauffer came on TV. Welcome to the second intermission, also known as the Stauffer proclaims his love interest in Matt Savoy. Actually, screw that. Now he's saying Savoy replaces RNH, Hyman, and Rosevich in the top 6. Serious question. Is Stauffer drunk? Like, seriously. Like, I fully admit Savoy's got skill. I fully admit he's got potential. But he hasn't put it all together to replace those 3 names in the top 6. So is Stauffer drunk? Because that's the only thing I can think of for even suggesting this. Period 3. Jackets penalty at 18:30. Cross-checking. Oilers power play. Oilers didn't score, but this was the best power play I've seen in a while without scoring. Shots now evened up at 20-21 for the Jackets. So we really came back storming in the third. And another post by the Jackets. Like I said, they got 6 posts this game. Or 4 posts and 2 crossbars. Jackets goal at 12:30. Bowman lets his player go free in the slot. Jackets player pass from behind the net to the slot. One-timer in the net. Wallman has to do better. 5-2 Jackets. Like I said, the only defenseman on our team was Darnell Nurse trying to clear out and tie up the slot. All other 5 defensemen, they just let Columbus walk wherever they wanted in the slot. Oilers goal at 12:03. Podkolzin from Bouchard. Bouchard stops the puck on the wall and sends it to Podkolzin, who spins and shoots. 5-3 Jackets. It was a nice goal by Podkolzin. I think he caught the Columbus goalie off guard with the spin and shot, but great goal. Oilers goal at 8:33 from Leon, or by Leon from Bouchard and McDavid. McDavid wins draw back to Bouchard on the point. Bouchard passes to Leon. Leon hard wrists from his office. 5-4 Jackets. Coincidental minors at 5:49. Majapani and a Columbus player scrum after the whistle. So it's 4-on-4. Beautiful rush by Nurse for a scoring chance as he goes coast to coast. Like he came from our zone all the way down and went around. He kind of looked like McDavid, honestly. And he got stopped, but it was a beautiful attempt. We pull our goalie with 1:30 left in the third. It's 6-on-5. No, Jackets win 5-4. Shots on goal, 26-25 Oilers. So we actually outshot the Jackets through our third period play. Well, we got a 20-minute effort, but dominated in those 20 minutes. If we had showed up in the first 40 minutes of the game, or if our skaters had just worried about defense when in our own zone, this would have been a W. It's really that simple. But once again, we didn't. Really simple as that. I really don't know what it's going to take for them to understand this. Surely they understand this by now. So this is just them being obstinate, not wanting to play defense. I'm not going to rant on Stauffer's nonsense. I just turned on 880 Ched, and no word of a lie, within 10 seconds, he was gushing about Savoy. So it's not fair to Matt Savoy, because my problem really comes down to Stauffer setting this kid up to fail. That's really where I'm aggravated, because he's not a top 6 player yet. He's filling in and he's doing admirably, but he's not there yet. And all Stauffer's doing is he's setting up Savoy to fail when if Stauffer gets his way and Savoy doesn't keep producing 2 points a game, the fans are going to turn on him. And then we're into a Yamamoto situation. And that's what happened with Yamamoto, is Stauffer was all gushy and lovey and whatever about Yamamoto too. And then Yamamoto went cold. And as soon as that happened, the fans turned on Yamamoto. And Yamamoto lost his confidence and he could never get it back. And this goes back to what I was saying at the pre-show, is we got to make these kids earn their spot, not hand them to them. And that's all I'm saying with Savoy. So I'm not saying I don't think Savoy will do it. Actually, I'm saying quite the opposite. I do think Savoy will do it. He's just not there yet. And a couple good games, we'll say a couple good games, doesn't change the other 17 games. Because if you go back into my recaps, most of those games, Savoy was absolutely invisible in most of those other 17 games. So Rob Brown just nailed it, answering Stauffer. Oilers played well enough in the third period to win, but played poor enough defensively to not get a point. And that is exactly it. They played one period well enough to win, but they played so poorly defensively that they earned not getting a point in this game. When you score 4 goals, you should be able to get at least a point. And if we had played even moderate defense, and I'm not talking about the defensemen alone, though 5 of the 6 defensemen were horrid in our own zone. I'm talking about the forwards too. If we just take care of our own zone, we wouldn't have had 5 goals against us. We probably would have had about 3. And if they only scored 3, we win 4-3. When McDavid and Leon were put together, they dominated. Now, Stauffer wants to say it was McDavid, Leon, and Savoy. It wasn't. It was McDavid and Leon. And then there was Savoy was on there, and Henrique was out there, and Rosevich was out there. So that third position was rotating, but the core was McDavid and Leon, and they dominated. Absolutely freaking dominated. And I agree with Rob Brown. This game was all about Leon and McDavid taking over, and then a bunch of passengers filling in the third spot. Now, obviously, if we're dominating, they filled in the third spot admirably. But again, they weren't the ones driving it. And I like Rosevich. You all know I love Rosevich. And he wasn't driving it. It was McDavid and Leon. So let's give our 2 stars the credit when they do this, and they deserve the credit. Let's not try to steal their credit to bump up somebody else. It wasn't all bad. Rosevich had another strong game. Bud Colson was good. Savoy continues to be opportunistic. Bouchard got 3 assists, but he also cost us 2 goals against. This was a tale of 2 games. We need this team to play 1 game. My 3 stars are number 1, Leon, 2 goals. Number 2, McDavid, 2 assists. And number 3, Bouchard with 3 assists. My 3 slugs are Majapani. He was -4 tonight. Pickard, he had an .800 save percentage. And the defensive game of the entire team, with a few exceptions. The only reason this game was lost was the team's defensive play, minus Philip, Lazar, Nurse, and Janmark. who seemed to be the only players interested in playing defense. Majapani was -4, so that's always a slug. Pickard was a miserable 800 save percentage. Now, that's not all on him. Contrary to Stauffer's claims, but Pickard needs to be better than that. 800 doesn't cut it, but I don't think he could. With the way the defense was playing, Pickard at his best, maybe he gets up to a 860, 870 save percentage in this game at best. He was not hitting 900 or better with the defense in front of him. Also, don't blame Lazar, Phillip, or Tomasek. I honestly don't think they got more than 5 minutes, if that, of ice time all game. So you can't make a difference in a game if you're not playing. When I speak about no defense, I'm speaking lines 1 through 3 and all defensemen other than Darnell Nurse. And that was the game. Next game is Saturday, November 15th versus Carolina at 5 p.m. on Sportsnet West. And that's my recap for tonight. If you like this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Please come in the comment. Tell me, what do you think? Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? You think I'm out to lunch? I would love to read them. So if you come in, you make a solid point, I will consider it. So anyway, also leaving a comment really does help me with my YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.